Shalom, shalom. See, should be good. Hey, shalom. It's your brothers of Great Millstone, Charlotte. Come with another Friday night live lesson to the Spirit and Power of Yahweh Shem Shai. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word without truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
So, as you can see by the title, man, the plague, that is black culture, man, right? As brothers have been going into heavy this week, a heavy movie, that's been the topic of conversation. They clone Tyrone, as you see by the thumbnail, right? But we see that Esau Edom is being used, to bring, the rod of the Lord's anger, down upon you Israelites, man. And the Lord gave them the spirit to go into all these various wicked devices, man, all these nefarious means, deception and enchantments, in order for you to destroy yourself, man, right? And it was all, correlating over to the curses, man, right? Because we strayed away from our power, the Lord gave, the instruction to them to come against us, man, and to bring those calamities upon us, right? So as we see, the culture that Esau Edom has pushed upon Jake, to make it seem as their own, was actually pushed upon them as judgment, man, as a means of destruction and death. Now, I want to start with this definition for plague, and it reads a highly infectious epidemic disease, especially one with a high rate of fatality, a pestilence, right? It's highly infectious, right? It spreads easily. So-called black culture, infects, whoever it touches, man. If you're not, um, even us when we were back in the world, but like the scripture says, there's no enchantment against Jacob, so the elect are going to come out of those ways. But we see wherever this madness spreads, it starts to have an effect. It has a foothold, in the world. We see it having an effect on the so-called Edomites, or the so-called whites, right? The so-called Japanese, the so-called Chinese, right? We see them adopting black culture and seeing the results of that, man, right? Because it's a plague. All it can bring is what? It has a high rate of fatality, right? Continuing on, it says a virulent infectious disease that is caused by bacterium. Jumping down, it says a widespread affliction or calamity seen as a divine retribution, man. And that's what it is, right? Our people have been put into the worst estate, that we've ever witnessed because of our disobedience, right? This plague of black culture, death culture, right? That void of light culture has been pushed upon our people because we strayed away from our true power, from our true heritage, man. And Esau Edom was given the means to perfect it, man. Now let me go to this definition real quick, because this is the word for culture, right? And what we're seeing right now is Esau Edom take the means to cultivate, wickedness, man, right? Which is what that word culture goes into. It says the tilling of a land, an act of preparing the earth for crops, a cultivating of agriculture. Um, Jumping down, it says, Slovakia, where'd it go? God, it says, figure in a figurative sense of cultivation through education, systematic improvement, and refinement of the mind, right? So what's improved according to Esau Edom, man? Wickedness, man. They systematically, make you more wicked. They systematically cause you to stray away from your power. We see through the movie, right? Every means of life, they had their fingers in to cause Jake to go astray, man. From the TV to the music to the food. You see the church, right? If you've watched the movie, right? Spoilers, for those who haven't seen it. But you see the church with the communion wine or the drink, whatever. You see the music, that causes Jake to go. You see the chemicals that they put in the hair products, right? The chemicals they put in the chicken. All these things, right? The music that's playing on the radio, everything is designed systematically, right, to destroy Jake. And it says the refinement of the mind. Now you go into that word refinement. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It says the process of removing impurities or unwanted elements from a substance. Now, what does Esau Edom want to remove, man? He wants to remove righteousness. He wants to remove your connection to Yahweh Bashim Shai. He wants to remove, ultimately, he wants that birthright back, right? So he's going through these means to take you away from your power, right? So that he can step into that steed, you know? So the impure things that are impure to him are things that are righteous, right? So that's that refinement process that he's causing, man, the refinement of the mind. So he wants Jake to have a completely wicked mindset, man. And we see that today, right? That movie came out for a reason. It's the Lord telling the telling the world, like, look, this is what your enemy is doing, man. You know, and if they were really about it, they would been going into what they were doing to the Northern Kingdom, man. It wouldn't have just been so-called Judah up there, getting cloned and mind controlled, man. They would have showed the same things that they're doing to Judah, Benjamin, Levi. They're doing to the Northern Kingdom as well, man. You know.
I get a precept on one of your points.
Kind of go ahead.
You pretty much mentioned, the stuff with the food, and like the hair, and then, they did the stuff with the drink. This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 16. It says, "Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight." And so, not this one. It was So let me find it, bro.
Okay, you good.
This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 13. It says, "And the Lord said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." Now that's going into like unclean food spiritually, you see, but the stuff that Esau puts inside the foods, it makes Jake spiritually unclean, because pretty much your diet is it. You are what your diet is, so it pushes Jake forth, for the most part, to have those unrighteous thoughts. You see,
Mm-hmm.
it says. So I'm gonna read it again. It says, "And the Lord said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." And that's one of the devices that Esau Edom uses. You see, because going into that movie, the dude at the end he said assimilation is better than annihilation. Now, I want to actually get that word for assimilation. It says, Salah. It says assimilation refers to the process through which individuals, now, because in the movie the dude said, he was like, well, pretty much in so many words, how long is it going to take for them to like switch over or whatever? Dude was like 40 years. So it says assimilation refers to the process, that's that 40-year period, through which the individuals and groups of differing heritages acquire the basic habits, attitudes, and mode of life of an embracing culture. All right, and who are those two groups that had the different? Who are those two groups that had a different culture? All right, Esau and Jake, or Jake and Esau. You
Yep.
see, and pretty much Esau is in rulership. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So pretty much, Esau knows that Jake, the kryptonite to Jake is sin. So therefore, that's what Esau puts in his society, because that's pretty much that's his strong suit. He knows that that's Jake's weak point, and Jake is going to fall right for it, because the scriptures say that um, the deeds of 2/3 surpass the deeds of the wicked.
Mm-hmm. What's that precept that talks about how um the righteous are what's how does it
I,
go?
I get it.
They're more righteous than their neighbor, but the ways of the wicked seduce them. Roughly
Yeah,
paraphrasing.
this is Proverbs 12 and verse 26. It says, "The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them."
Yep. because Esau, what black culture truly is Edomite culture, man, right? Undisciplined, unruly, right? With full of lustfulness, man, right? What's the word? You going after your flesh constantly, right? And that's what we've seen through the movie, right? All these different things was Jake going after the flesh, the hypnosis, going through the clubs, going through the women, going through the food, going through the religion. All these things are Edomite characteristics, man, right? That's not our culture, but like we read in that definition, it's the cultivation through education, that Jake is being educated, through the TVs, through the music, through the schools, right, on how to live that lifestyle, man. It says the systematic improvement and refinement of the mind. So they're brainwashing people, man, right? And we've seen that in the movie, right? They do all these means to pull whatever righteousness is in you out of you, man. And to implant wickedness, man, to implant that Edomite culture instead of you coming back and being able to hearken unto Yahweh Shem Shai, man. You know,
I run it back.
kind of good.
This is Proverbs, also Mashalia, chapter 12, and verse 26. It says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Now, the way going into the customs, the fashion of life that, the wicked subscribes to. But it says seduceth. Jake is persuaded, to do this way of life. But then also that word seduce, it says H8582 I. All right, and it pretty much it says to err, wander, go astray, to stagger, wander about physically, of intoxication, of sin, wandering of the mind, pretty much going into that brainwashing, because subscribing to these different customs is pretty much going to have you wandering in the mind. When the scriptures say that you should be in one mind.
Exactly. Exactly. And you see, they're being seduced constantly, man. Right? What the serpent said, "You shall not surely die." Right when he was speaking to Eve, and he was seducing her, man. Right, and now Jake is constantly hearing, you shall not surely die. Right, just get with the wickedness, man. Right, when in Rome, right. That's the spirit that Babylon has, man. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because you get Isaiah 10:5.
This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 5. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation.
hmm so that Syrian being who, man? The Edomite, right? Of the present day, right? That's the Assyrian. That's the rod of the Lord's anger. That's what he's using, to bring these judgments upon our people, man. Right? You can keep going,
I
man.
got a, huh?
Oh, you got preset?
No, I can continue on.
Okay, kind.
It says, I will send him against an hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets.
Right. So it's the will of the Lord that these things are happening, man. It's the will of the Lord that Esau Edom, is using all these wicked devices, man. It's the will of the Lord, because another thing that the movie, would have made it better is if they showed, the other nations having their hand in the pot, so to speak, right? If they
Mm-hmm.
had Elam and Moab out there, the way they feed cat and dog parts, right, or old expired food in these corner stores and whatnot, man, right? That would have added just a more level of realism to the situation, right? Because this whole system, you read Psalm 83rd chapter, is the confederacy that these nations took against us, man, right? But the Lord put the spirit on them to do so, right? And just like he says, I will give him a charge, right? So this is their walking orders, man, right? This their marching orders to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire in the streets, man. Why? Because we were disobedient. Why? Because we strayed away from our power, man. Because we forsook the law, statutes, and commandments, man, and went after idols. This is a direct correlation to our disobedience. So you see the mind control, the wicked enchantments, and things of that nature that Jake is going through. You have to understand that it's because it's our fault. It was our going away from our power that caused these things to take place.
I got a quick one. This is Second Maccabees 7:32. It says, "For we suffer because of our sins." Now we pretty much in this predicament because we went off against the Lord. You see, that's why we pretty much we go through what we go through.
That's it. Um, what else on that? Could you grab the book of Psalm, chapter 64, and verse 5, or verse 6, Lucky?
This is Psalm 64 and verse 5. It says, "They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They
Mm-hmm.
say, who shall see them?" Can you read it?
Kind.
Verse 6. "They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep."
Right. So as we read, the rod of the Lord's anger, that is Syrian. He's being used, to do those deep searches, man, to seek out, you know, uh, every wicked device possible, to pull Jake away, man. Right? Esau Edom is perfect in his wickedness, you know, and like it says, the inward thought of every one of them in the heart is deep, so they're continually thinking about ways to make you go off, man, right? Different things to put in the food, different frequencies of music to put out there, to change your brain chemistry, right? Different things to put in the water, right? Different ways of controlling your mind through the television, right, or social media. All these different ways. That's the depth, of their practices, man. You know,
I got two words if I can.
kind of good.
I'm gonna run this back. It says, "They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep." Now I want to get that. I'm going to it in the blue letter. Psalm 64 and verse 5. Because it says to search, which is chapash, and it says H2664. It says to search out, to think, to devise, to search, to test. It says to disguise oneself. Then it says pretty much to search it to be sought out. Now I wanted to get that because that's pretty much what they do. And I want to bring out two common definitions. It says recon because it's pretty much what Esau Edom does. He studied Jake. If you go to, could you grab Genesis 25 and 27, Baba Prashad? Because pretty much this devil, he studies Jake. He almost does it like a like when you go into a battle, you'll do recon, and then afterwards you got what they call like a after action review. So what you could have did better, what went right. That's pretty much what he does with Jake. This is the word for recon. It says to conduct a preliminary and especially a exploratory survey, to do a reconnaissance of something. And what we seen inside, which it wasn't necessarily recon, but it was they was on the phone in that little room, and it was like it appears that Daquan and Keisha, broke up or whatever. And that's pretty much Esau taking his notes, doing his diligent search. And I want to get this word for AAR, which is an acronym again for after action review. Let me get that. It's a lot. And it says after action review. It says is a technique for improving process and execution by analyzing the intended outcome and actual outcome of an action. So pretty much they say like, all right, so what worked, what didn't work, so they know for next time, all right, we can't do this, we can't do that, and pretty much that's Esau's MO, when studying the nation of Israel. That's why he knows that Esau's done his research. That's why I said that they search out iniquities. They went back to all these different civilizations, and took what they needed to take from them because they understand um, Jake's kryptonite, and again, that's sin.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why you see these same idols, from the ancient Sumeria, right, going through Egypt, going through Babylon, Assyria, Greece, Rome. It's the same shit over and over and over again, man. Because Jake fall victim to the same things over and over and over again. Like the brother said, Esau, they do that diligent search, right? They understand these things and they've perfected these things over time, man. And now the Lord is removing the wisdom of Taman, man. So we're starting to see, these things start to crumble, right?
I got a quick
You
one.
need that Genesis still?
So,
No, I was holding that Genesis for you if you still wanted it.
oh yeah. It line up. You gotta get that.
Okay, it's Genesis chapter 25 and verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field,
God
and
said,
Jacob was a
my bad. It
go
said
ahead.
Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And a man of the field. What do they do? They pretty much observe. All right, Esau pretty much observes. It says he was cunning, a cunning hunter. So he was crafty. So this lines me up for Psalms 83 because that's pretty much again what Esau does. It says this is Psalms 83 in verse 1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel." Going back to where it says Esau was cunning, because he spearheads this enterprise. It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, the Israelites, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." You see, and for the majority, 2/3, they don't necessarily consider themselves to be Israelites. They would rather be called black, and this is all the doing, or it's like black Negro, Native American. They would rather subscribe to those things. You see, and this is um, from the doing of Esau Edom. You know,
Uh, Baba Kusha, grab Salakia. Isaiah 29 and 15.
this is Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 15. It reads, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us?"
Right. This is what Esau Edom, this is their mindset right now, man. Right. But that's why the Lord has their tongues falling upon themselves, man. That's why you see, these child trafficking rings getting exposed. That's why you see, there are different means and devices, of what's the word? Mind control, uh, for lack of a better term, being brought out, right? Because they think that nobody can see what they're doing, man. But the Lord sees these things, man, and He's having these things come out, for the elect's sake, man. You know. Now, could you get 16 as well?
Con. Isaiah 29 and 16. "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He had no understanding?"
hmm And that's the pride that Esau Edom, right? Everything you see happening right now, you know, they believe that they're going to be able to completely achieve their their enterprise, man. Right? But we know that there are bounds that they cannot pass, man. Going back to the movie, it's like that the whole cloning situation was just a distraction from the fact that everything that they're doing is they pretty much gave you the whole blueprint of what they're doing, man. The whole game plan of what Esau Edom does, right? They go through the whole movie talking about that, and then all they focus on towards the end is the clones, man. They don't even talk about the fact that they're putting the stuff in the food, they're putting the stuff in the water and the music and all that stuff, man. Because that's true, right? They don't want people to actually sit back and think, oh wow, this is why I think like this, right? This is why our communities act like this, right? They've all been uh, basically genetically engineered, for destruction, man. So when elders and brothers and apostles say that these are GMO niggas, man, these niggas is really genetically modified organisms, man. Their
Mhm.
whole existence has been chemically induced. You know,
Kind. If I could add too, um, in a spiritual sense, technically Esau is like cloning Jake. You see, because you got the same nigga in each major city or in each city.
right,
You
right,
see,
right,
because
right.
all Jake that's in the congregation of dead pretty much subscribe to all the same stuff because Esau gave them a specific culture and that's what they subscribe to. I got a quick
Mm-hmm.
one. This is Proverbs 21 and verse 16. It says, "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall meet." So the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right, this is pretty much Jake in America in the different captivities that he was scattered to, you know. And the congregation of the dead pretty much represents a place without the truth, you know.
Yeah. And you see that, just like you said, a perfect point. At the end of the movie, uh, they had the clone, go through the same steps, as the previous clone did in whatever city he was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one, he just happened to be in LA, right? But he did every single thing the same way,
Yep.
talked the same way, asked the same questions. He just happened to be in a different city, man, right?
Yep.
He made the same moves, right? That's how Jake is, man. As the brother said, it's carbon copies of the same niggas
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, in Babylon the Great, man. Right?
Con. I got a quick one. This is
Uh,
Isaiah Yeshaya, chapter 9 and verse 16. It says, "For the leaders of this people," which I wanted to get this precept because pretty much Jake, without understanding, pretty much subscribes to the same stuff. You know, they all look after the celebrities, the flashiness, the stuff that pops out, the stuff they see on TV. Because that was another thing too. Like Jake looks at TV. You know, Jake likes to be
mhm.
entertained. It says, "For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed." All right, and 2/3 is destroyed because they're seeking after these people that are set up by Esau Edom. And when you go into this word err, it pretty much means to go off the path of righteousness, you know, and that's because they're entrusted in those people set up by Esau Edom.
Okay. They
And then
have
also, so like,
oh, go.
no, I'm gonna say also because those people are set up, but then the guy at the end pretty much he understood what he was doing. The scientist dude, he understood what he was doing, and pretty much you got Jake in this society to understand what they're doing as well. You know, they're pretty much set up like that, you know, because they're comfortable, and Esau gave them a little bit of crumbs.
That's it. They think they're doing it for the betterment, of the good, the greater good, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but they don't realize that they're leading people, to the slaughter, man. Or
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they realize it, man. But they've been so compromised, their ethics have been compromised, that they'd rather go all the way than admit whatever fault that they have in the situation, man.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get Isaiah 20? No, no, we got that right. 28 and 14 and 15.
This is Isaiah 28, verse 14 and verse 15. It says, "Wherefore hear the Lord." So like, wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people, which is in Jerusalem,
Mhm.
because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are at so like, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves.
And that's those people who've agreed to this system, man. Right? Everyone who's become compromised, from taking the bag from Esau or whatever little goodies Esau has offered them, right? This is their mindset, right? They think that, because they made a covenant with this devil, right? They made a covenant with death, right? They made a covenant to allow our people to continue to push this death culture, this so-called black, right, which is just void of light, void of life, really, right? This black culture, they've pushed it, right? They think that because they've done their part, as Jake in the movie, right? He thought he was going to be able to escape, unscathed, right? He said, "Would say the overflowing scourge shall pass through; it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and falsehood we have hid ourselves, man. Right? So they hide behind, this veil that they've put up, that's been provided by Esau Edom. But as Esau's veil gets torn down, their veil gets torn down, man. So all you pastors, that are pushing the Christianity and all these other religions on our people, man. You Egyptologists, what else we got out there, man?
Islam.
Islam, yeah. All you what's it, astrophysicists and scientists and things of that nature, right? Everything that's pushing for Jake to continue on in this defiled manner, right? These abominations is the mindset that needs to be removed, man, and it's going to be removed, and it's being exposed, as we speak, you know.
I got one land back on you. This is First Maccabees 1:11. It says, "In those days, when there out Israel wicked men who persuaded many." All right, and this is the time like that was Hellenization. Now we're in Westernization, Hellenization 2.0, which pretty much this is going on in these times. It says, "Who persuaded many," because Jake is impressionable. It says, saying, "Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us." And like you said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's pretty much the mindset of 2/3. It says,
Exactly.
"For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so for herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen." All right, that's pretty much what Jake is doing nowadays.
Exactly.
Living as the heathen do.
They've been given license to do what the heathen, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They said, look, you're gonna receive gifts. You're gonna receive, high esteem, right? In order to make it look like this is something to what's the word? To strive towards, man. Right? They make this thing look at something as good, man. The scriptures say they see evil as good and good as evil, man. You know. Could you keep reading down on that?
First
I think
Maccabees.
down to 15, kind.
It's First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 13. It says, "Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief."
Right. So the same way they took on the customs of the heathen, the ways, of the Greeks fashions, right? It's the same way you see Jake taking on the ways of the Edomite, man, because nothing Jake is doing is exclusive to them, right? Esau just does things on a greater magnitude, man, and behind the scenes, right? So where Jake is kicking in doors of his neighbors, right? Esau is kicking in doors on whole countries, man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Jake is poisoning his neighborhood, uh, Esau is poisoning the whole country. It's just a magnified level, man. Because these are all Edomite traits that they're pushing upon our people, man. These are the ways of the heathen. Like I said, they were sold to do mischief, man. They made they forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves unto the heathen. That's what we're seeing, and it's starting. Esau has been able to use these celebrities and use these people of affluence, to make it look like this is something to aspire towards, man.
Jake joined himself so much to the heathen that they pretty much doing the will of the heathen. They pretty much tying into Psalms 83, 2/3.
Hmm.
They're further destroying the nation.
Exactly. It's like, look, Esau got it on cruise control at this point, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He didn't account for, the remnant waking up, man. Right? Could you get that Numbers 23 and 23? Because these things that once had great power over us, the enchantments are starting to be broken, man. Those spells that Esau had that were so pure, to deceive our people, right, are starting to lose their power, man.
This is Numbers chapter 23 and verse 23. It says, "Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath the Most High wrought?"
Hmm. And see those enchantments and divinations, man. Right? Esau using his sorcerers, right? These science, these left hand scientists, right? All these things to try to look into the future, to try to devise new means of deception. All these ways are starting to they're losing their power. Their wisdom is failing them, man. Right? That is there no more wisdom in teaming, right? Now those witches and warlocks, they're going to great lengths now to try to what's the word? To pull people back in, man. Right? That's why you see more sacrifices going on. That's why you see more abductions going on. Because they're doing sorceries at all time levels right now because the demons aren't communing with them the same way they were, at their strength, man. Because ultimately they work for Yahweh Shemel Shai, so he can call them back or send them out, as he wishes, right? So he's taking that power away from Esau, man. Um,
I had a
let's
quick
see.
one.
Okay, kind of go ahead.
This is Isaiah 19:3. It says, it's a lot. I'm reading verse 1. It says, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. It says, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom, which pretty much is going into infighting. It says, in the spirit of Egypt, which going into the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, you see, because for so long Esau was able to profit off of that, witchcraft and stuff, but those things are not working anymore. When you talk about like he was able to capitalize off of his propaganda, like the news, different articles, you see, and that's pretty much why he made different things saying like, hey, we got to control, like the news sources and stuff like that, because it's not working anymore. You got these truthers coming out and saying, hey, this is what's going on. You see, so that witchcraft is no longer working. All right, the spirit of the Lord is moving forth throughout the earth. I'm gonna keep going. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Going back to, there is no more wisdom in teaming. All right, it says, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And that's pretty much what Esau is doing. You see, but it's not working anymore, because this is his time to where he's being taken out of power.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna read that in the NLT real quick. This is Isaiah 19 and verse 3 in the NLT reads, "The Egyptians will lose heart, and I will confuse their plans," right? Because everything Esau thought was going according to plan, is hiccups that keep coming up, and it's starting with the men of the Lord, man, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? You go like the Scooby Doo, those meddling kids, right? And that's how he's looking at us right now, but in a more sinister way, because we're causing him to have to accelerate, all his wicked devices, man. Right? It says they will plead with their idols for wisdom, and that's what we're seeing, man. They on their knees begging and crying to their idols, man. So that they can receive that wisdom, so that they can receive that power. Right? We've seen the wicked sacrifice they were doing out there in Israel, right? Those Israelis out there were what's it called, sacrificing the heifers and the I can't remember what else they were doing, man, but they were doing a major sacrifice of these oxen, right? And we understood that was all left hand driven because they're running out of options, right? Desperate times are causing for desperate measures, man, right? It says they will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirit mediums, or call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirits of the dead, right? So they're pulling out all the stops right now because they see uh, things are failing, right? As you read in the NL in the King James version, it's like it.
I got another one.
Kind of good.
This is Isaiah Yeshaya chapter 47, verse 12. It says, "Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries,
Mhm.
wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail." It says, "Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from the things that shall come upon thee," which are not going to be delivered from these things that are coming to America, Babylon the Great. Now going back to verse 12, it says, "Stand now." And when you go into that word stand, it's imad, which pretty much means to continue, because that's pretty much what Esau is going to do, going back to Isaiah, the 19th chapter and the third verse, because they're pretty much going to try to address into the idols. It says, I'm going to finish it out. It says, "Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee." And nobody's going to save this devil from his downfall, from the destruction of his kingdom. He's going to be snatched out of rulership.
That's right. Because these enchantments haven't just been affecting Jake. They've been affecting all these nations, man. Right? Like we said earlier, that plague of so-called black culture, has spread throughout the whole earth. Because it's truly the way of the Edomite, man. Right? And that it's destroyed nations. We see the results of when Babylon's influence comes in. The before and after, man. Everything everything gets destroyed, man, because the ways of this man are cancerous, man. Right? It's gonna feed on all the good until there's no, as the scriptures say, there's no gleaning grapes left, man. And they're just gonna leave the land barren, and that's what we see in Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. We're seeing it happen over in Japan. Where the mindsets of the people are destroyed. We're seeing it, in various African countries. Chiefly we're seeing it over here, man. All the subsidiaries of Babylon the Great are feeling the effects of that plague, right? They're feeling the afflictions. Let me go back to that definition real quick. It says a widespread affliction or calamity is seen as divine retribution. So that retribution was for you Israelites, right? For your disobedience, but it's it's spreading, throughout the world, man. And now, we're about to see that retribution turn over onto Esau Edom, man. So that all these curses are about to fall upon them, man. You know. Um, we can get Deuteronomy 30 and
Yeah, I'm going.
15 through
So
sorry, 15 through 19, and then if you have anything else, we close with that.
this is Deuteronomy. I want to get that point that you just mentioned. This is Deuteronomy 30 and verse 7. It says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." All right, and we pretty much seeing the transition into that. That's why you're seeing so many, homeless Edomites, which
Right.
the curses are going to fully go onto them. But I'm going to continue on down to verse 15. It says, 15, right?
Con, I did want to make a point just off what you were saying, though.
We'll run it back.
Con.
This is Deuteronomy 30 and verse 7. It says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee."
Right. So as the brother said, man, we're seeing that transfer start to begin, before our eyes, right? And the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai is he's given us the cure, to this plague, man, right? And through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? But the plague is about to transfer onto, as it says, it's very infectious, you know, it's gonna attach itself to our enemies, man, and they're gonna feel, the way, the pains and the afflictions, that we felt, and like I said, double unto them, man, right? So all these things are gonna be transferred over, But Jake, you gotta separate yourself, from this This black culture, man. Right? This is not your culture. This is not your heritage. These are not your ways, man. And you see, it's been forced upon you. That movie, blatantly shows you that all the things that you hold dear, are actually the vices of Esau Edom, man. You know, so that you systematically destroying yourself.
Oh, go ahead and get Deuteronomy 30 and 15.
Kind focus up.
This is Deuteronomy 30 and verse 15. It says, "See, I have set before thee this day life and good, death and evil, and that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy power, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it."
Right, our blessings are connected to our obedience, man. Right, us following after our the law, statutes, and commandments, right, and coming back to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Right? It says, keep his statutes and his judgments that thou mayest live and multiply, man. Right? We can't prosper without it. We see the results of our separation from the Lord, man. Right? It's nothing but despair. Right? All true prosperity comes through serving Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You can keep going. You can read down to 19.
So, back to Deuteronomy 30 and verse 17. It says, "But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shalt be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou passes over Jordan to possess it."
Mm-hmm. And see, our hearts were turned away. Lord willing, we be that elect number. Our hearts are being brought back to walk in the correct way, man. But 2/3 hearts, are still being enchanted, man. Right? And those enchantments are pulling Jake further and further away, man. So what's the result? He's gonna denounce them, right? And they shall surely perish, man. Right? They shall not prolong their days. That's why you see Jake, dying at such young ages, man. Right? That's why you see, uh, what's it called? T-shirts with 11, 12-year-olds, man. Babies getting, stray bullets, right? People dying from fucking lead poisoning or whatever. You got uh, elementary school kids with diabetes, all types of shit, man. That's that. You shall surely perish, man. You shall not prolong your days upon the land. You know.
Go to 20.
You can read 19. 19 is the point, pretty much.
Okay, so Deuteronomy 30 and 19. It says, "I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that thou that both thou and thy seed may live."
Right. Therefore, choose life, man. Right. Separate yourself from this black culture plague, man. Right. Step into the healing. Right. The whole head is sick. The heart is faint. Because Jake is, had been susceptible to these enchantments that Esau Edom was putting out. Right. But now, the Lord is giving that healing back to us, man. He's allowing us to receive the healing for our wounds, right? But you have to take the steps in order to get that, man. You know. You know anything else?
We go to Proverbs 7, and we can start at verse 21 and then go down to 27.
21. Okay. This is Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 21. With her much fair speech, with her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering word, with the flattering of her lips, she forced him.
That's pretty much going. It says fair speech, because who spearheads America, Babylon Great, Babylon the Great? Proverbs 7 is going into America, and it's talking about forcing Jake. 2/3.
Right.
Going into those adulterous ways. You keep going.
He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks,
Mm-hmm.
till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life.
God, so all the different vices, everything, for the majority, everything that Esau puts out there, is for the downfall of Jake. Because if it was to continue on, Jake is going to be destroyed for being in
Right.
those things. At least he repent.
hmm And look in the NLT, it says, he was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Jake is, living free, so called, right? But they don't understand that these liberties, these freedoms, are about to cost them their life and cost them salvation, man.
Mm-hmm. I had a
Continuing
quick
on,
one
got
because
what?
it says a bird hastened to the snare. Because pretty much that's the lifestyle that Esau has given to Jake. This is Jeremiah 12:9. It says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about her are against her, and the birds being the other nations." It says,
hmm
"Come, yea, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour." That's pretty much going back to Psalms 83, spearheaded by Esau Edom. That's their whole goal, and 2/3 played right along into it, going right into that snare.
That's right. John, Proverbs 7:24. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not yon, Salaki, let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not
Concepts.
astray in her paths.
So it says hearken. Are you going to hearken? It pretty much means to listen and obey. Shemai, in
hmm
Hebrew. Listen and obey. Don't follow after the ways of the heathen. Going back to Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. And so I said before the roughly paraphrase. I said before the life and death. Choose life. You want to choose life. You want to listen and obey.
That's right. It says, let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths.
Because all the precepts we brought out tonight, it said, to err, to wander. If you go on the customs, the ways of Esau Edom, you're going to be erring in the spirit.
hmm Verse 26. Actually, I'm going to read that in the NLT real quick.
Con,
Um, this is Proverbs 7:24 in the NLT. So listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her, right? Going into these false ways, these false philosophies, right? And don't wander down her wayward path.
mm-hmm.
So don't. It's a precept that talks about, go not that way. You know, let me see if I can find it so I get. Um,
Could you, Baba Kashak, can you run that part back again?
it's you know the NLT back.
Yeah.
Proverbs 7:24 in the NLT. So listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward path.
It said, wavered or wayward.
Wayward, wayward.
Okay, Con, it's a lot. Oh, yeah. Well, this is still on point. This is Proverbs 5, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "My son, attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding," pretty much going to the same thing, "that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman, American Babylon the Great, drop as in honeycomb," so it sounds good. It says, "and her mouth
hmm
is smoother than oil," so she's pretty persuasive. Going pursuant to Psalms 55 and 21. It says, "But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life," the way that you should actually maneuver the path of life. It says her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. So you can't be established on something that's always changing, something that's movable. You want to be on that direct path. You want to be on that straight gate, because that's
Exactly.
what's going to keep you established.
hmm
Or that's what we want. We want to stay on the straight gate.
Yep, that's right. That's the only way to get there, man. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Proverbs 4. And 14, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away, man. In the NLT it talks about, keep moving, man. Don't look back at that, man. It's this way is not the correct way, right? You step towards that direction, you risking your life, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know. Continuing on in this Proverbs 7 and verse 26, for she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her.
Mm-hmm.
Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death.
Mm-hmm. And who's to
Right?
plug in those two words in the Hebrew? It says her house. All right, Bayath. It says that goes into your house and then also how you live. You know, it
Mhm.
says is the way. All right, that way. The word way goes into the rock. You know, which means a literal path, but then also a manner. So if you decide to live in the ways of America, Babylon the Great, that's a sure ticket, to destruction. That's why it says going down to the chambers of death, because that's what's going to be the end result if you continue to live in that manner. Death.
Man, that's it, man. And we see that death, coming through this so-called culture, man. Right? When true culture is, uh, going back to our forefathers, man. Serving Yahweh Shem Shai with fear and trembling, so that we may prosper, right? Going back to the time of King David, going back to the time of King Solomon, right? Where Israel was in our best case, right? You know, this was when, we were able to prosper. It was because our connection to our power, right? But without that connection, we're seeing we're victims to everything, man. You know, that hedge is completely gone. We're susceptible to every single thing imaginable, man. And we see that through Jake right now. Going back to the movie, man. Going back to the plague of black culture, right? Jake is infected with this madness, man. You know, like I brought out earlier, the whole head is sick and the heart is faint, man. The mind's, going back to that word laab or lob, for your mind, right? The people are weary, right? Jake doesn't know what to do. Jake has no true direction, and it's because instead of coming back to our power, you know they go after the ways of the heathen, man. They accept the customs of Esau, Edom, right? And it's been to their downfall, man. But as we read in that Deuteronomy, you know, choose life, man. That we may prosper. You know,
God.
but hey, you got anything else?
Um, no, that's it.
Con. Hey, so Lord willing, we pray that lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. We want to close by giving our praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. Wa Kwam Yasharala, and abide with all, man.
Papa Ball.
Shalom.